following show contains adult content. It's not our intent to offend anyone, but we want to inform you that if you are a child under the age of 18 or get offended easily, this next show may not be for you. The content, opinions, and subject matter of these shows are solely the choice of your show hosts and their guests, and not those of the Entertainment Network or any affiliated stations. Any comments or inquiries should be directed to those show hosts. Thank you for listening.
What's up, Music Familia?
What's happening?
We are live with the awesome Missie Tong tonight, and the lovely Miss Roxy is running the show. How are you, ma'am?
I'm doing really good. It's been a little hot, but everything is just flowing and things are happening, and I'm just so excited to be here with everybody.
Yeah, man. I want to let everybody know who is listening and watching that we are on multiple platforms tonight. We are also doing a special giveaway this evening, and we encourage all of you guys to like, share, and subscribe using hashtag MusicFamilia for life. And we also, to win, one of the stipulations to win tonight's giveaway is you have to be subscribed to the YouTube channel, and you have to show proof of subscription, whether it be a screenshot or something of that to show the admins of MFP that you are indeed following the rules for the giveaway.
Yep, definitely got to follow all those guidelines. And let's talk about this giveaway. So we're going to do a $25 Amazon gift card. Who doesn't love money?
I do. Can I win?
You are not permitted to win.
Not eligible.
Not eligible. You are not. But there's also more to that than just money. That intro that you heard and the outro for the podcast is from Life After This. It was a band. We interviewed them the very first show, so go check that out on Music Familia Productions YouTube. Got the link scrolling down there at the bottom. It's not a link, but it'll tell you where you got to go. Anyways, they have donated a t-shirt, an album, a wristband, and a shot glass. So
oh snap,
that's a whole package deal. So
who doesn't love alcohol?
So go check them out. Don't leave this page, but you can check them out. Life After This on Facebook, on their website, Bandcamp, I believe. They are everywhere. Yes, Spotify.
Yep.
So
yes, ma'am. So, without further ado, let's get our guest of the night in tonight, Missie Tong from Tong Productions. She's been in the game for a long time. I'm excited to sit down with her and get the other sides of the lenses, if you will.
All right, let's bring her on. Miss C.E.O.
Hello,
Hi,
everyone.
Missie. How are you?
Good. How are you guys doing?
Awesome. Thank you for coming and hanging out with us tonight. I appreciate it.
Thanks for inviting me.
So you and the awesome hubby, shout out to Jeff, by the way. I don't know if he's watching or not, but shout out to the hubby. And I just want to touch base with you and you know, kind of pick your brain tonight, honestly. You know, you guys have been in the music scene for a little while now, right?
Oh, seems like forever. I mean, Jeff's been playing in bands locally since like 1988, 89. And I moved to the area in 91 and started, you know, immediately, like the first month of living in Columbus, I'm at the Alarosa checking out a show, local bands. It's when it was like Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sundays. They had bands and they actually had tables down on the floor. And so it's been a long time. But yeah, got more involved in the music scene once I got with Jeff. That was in 2004. And that was kind of how the photography thing just started, was just taking pictures of his band with the point and shoot. And it kind of just grew really quickly from there.
What would you say since you and Jeff have started in music in Columbus and been supporting and putting in with the music scene, what is one of the hardest things that you guys have encountered in your time with the Columbus music scene?
I don't know, it seems like lately, I think the smoking ban kind of hurt the band scenes for a while. When that first kind of happened, it was hard to find bars that were willing to book bands because they were losing money, losing patrons because people weren't allowed to smoke in the bars. And I think that kind of stuff is faded out. But still, even nowadays, it's just hard to get bands into clubs. Our clubs, especially this year, our club scenes have really diminished. So it's like there's more bands than clubs right now. So it's kind of hard to get into some of the different venues here and there.
I rest in peace to the Alarosa Villa. I'm sure we've all had some awesome memories there. I can't believe that it's gone. I mean,
it's heartbreaking. Yeah,
it's definitely an end to an era.
When we're talking about the music scene and we're talking about these certain things, a lot comes to mind. Like the camaraderie from the music scene comes to mind. And a couple of other things that really, I haven't been in the game very long in comparison to a lot of other people, yourself and Jeff as well. And one thing I've noticed, man, is it's really frustrating for bands that try to get on bills that with bands that don't, and like sharing and promoting each other seems to be a thing too.
Yeah, it seems like everybody talks about trying to help each other out and promote each other, but when it comes down to it, they really don't do it. It's sort of a like, yeah, go out and see every band, but don't go see them bands. Come see my band. And it's always been, I don't know, it's kind of, you got to self promote and stuff, but a lot of times people, that's the kind of common thing I've seen over the years is everybody talks a good game of promoting each other and having each other's backs, but in reality, the scene can get kind of ugly as far as competition goes. And now with the internet, it seems like back in the day you heard everybody shit talking other people, but now with the internet it's more prominent, it's more out there, and you can see and hear more of it. And I think that's been a big problem in the music scene, especially locally, is not supporting each other.
Yeah, the big thing, like the confusing part for me is that a lot of bands will come to you and say, hey, I want to play a show, I want to get out and do this, I want to get out and do that, and then you start negotiating or talking with them and they're like, well, I want $600. Well, are you worth $600? I mean, you have to ask yourself, like,
Yeah, I guess, I mean, it's kind of hard. I mean, you don't want to go out and play for free,
right? I mean, I understand that. I just
there's some like some bands, they kind of expect that they're automatically well known and have a big following wherever they're going, and they don't always do that, but they come in expecting big money. It's like, well, you got to prove to me that you're worth $600 or $1,000 or whatever it is that they're asking for their fee for the night, especially if you're just a local band. It's like, if you have a good following, the venues will pay you.
Right. Yeah, I see a lot of bands come in and say, well, I want $600 and I want a bar tab and I want my green room filled and I want and I always ask them, I'm like, so if you're asking for that kind of money, do you have that kind of material to ask for that kind of money? I mean, it's it seems like it's an epic battle between what you should do and what you shouldn't do, and 9 times out of 10 it's a lot of what I shouldn't be doing.
and the thing is Jeff and I we're on both sides. We see both sides of the both sides of the coin here. Being in a band, you want to be paid for what you're doing and be promoting yourself, but then as a promoter who's hiring bands, I see the other side of it also of like, well, you want this, this, and this, and this, but you haven't proven that you are, to get, have a filled green room with, all the booze you want. And I mean, with national bands, I've redlined hospitality riders to where they were just down to nothing, because the whole thing is, if you don't ask, you never know. So
Right.
a lot of it's just, pushing the envelope and asking to see what you can get, because you never know, somebody may give you everything you ask for.
Yeah.
When
Yes, a
you
lot of them do that.
when you notice all these bands not doing their share, their part, how does this directly affect you and what you do in the business?
The way it affects me is, like, especially when I've had national acts come in and I'll have local bands opening. Um, I'll have bands say, well, yeah, I never require people to sell tickets. That's just, I'm not into the whole pay to play deal. I ask bands to please, do their share and sell tickets, sell what they can, and I don't hold them to, a certain amount. I don't make them, it's not pay to play. It's whatever you can get, and if we do good at the end of the night, then I share in that, profit with everybody. But I've had some bands say, oh yeah, we'll sell 20 tickets, blah blah blah, and they show up and hand me, money for 3 tickets and a guest list. I'm like, okay, that's not really helping this situation any.
Nah.
And they didn't help themselves, because then it's like, you think, okay, these are the perfect examples why there is pay to play, because
Right.
they didn't do what they said they were going to do. And that leaves your promoter in a lurch, and then you just never get hired again by that person.
Yeah.
Definitely a trickle down effect, huh?
Exactly. It has a trickle down effect, and eventually word gets around that you did that to one person, and then other venues won't hire you to play either. But yeah, I kind of see both sides of the story.
Do you guys consider, like, being the production LLC and all that from that side of it? Do you guys do you guys do contracts or anything like that with the artists and bands, or is it like a your word is your bond kind of thing?
Oh no, with the national acts, they're all contracts. Every single one of them are all full legal contracts. Usually the band's agent will send me a contract for them, and if there's, I agree to everything, then I'll sign it. If there's things I don't like, I'll change it, and then if they approve it, then it's all good. But yeah, everything is done by contract. Like any time now, it's like nobody's word counts anymore. It's like I want to see things. In fact, I really communicate with bands and their agents over phone. It's all email or text message. So I have a written written trail. I have a paper trail of everything that was said and agreed upon.
Always cover your ass.
I was just going to say, it's always having to cover your ass.
Definitely.
Is there anything like, Jeff handles the left side, you handle the right side. What is it, as a female being in the music scene here in Columbus, even as a photographer, honestly, have you personally had any issues, trying to, have you had any issues in the music scene or in anything, like, because you're a female as opposed to, Jeff's situation? Have you had a harder time than Jeff? Maybe, I guess, is
kind of because kind of when you have a female kind of stepping into a man's world, the music scene and the music business has always kind of been like a male dominated profession, even concert photography, and a lot of things that I've had to deal with, and many other females, especially as a photographer, we get the whole groupie with a camera deal. A lot of times we're treated as if we're just, using our camera to get backstage.
Yeah.
And that's one thing I have always been very strong opinion about, and I never wanted to come into the music industry and for people to have that image of me. And I've worked hard at it.
Exactly.
And you have too, or else you wouldn't have gotten as far as you have.
Yeah, so you definitely, after a while, you do gain respect from the professionals. And after a while, once I really started getting into working for festivals and stuff, I do a lot of the meet and greet photography. that they have for the bands and for the festivals and stuff. And they kind of, I'm now seen as a professional. I don't get starstruck. I don't, fangirl on anybody. It's
Right.
all it's strictly business to me. And one of the things people say, you never, I hardly ever see you get your picture taken with, the artist. And I'm like, I stay behind the camera. I'm not there to do the meet and greet. I'm there to, it's a job. And it's like, no matter who it is, there's a few of them that I've had to really suck it up and really not fangirl out on somebody.
I can relate.
Meet somebody, but you got to stay professional, and it's always the utmost importance to maintain a professional attitude and work ethic with it. So you just kind of get it together and just kind of get through it.
Yeah.
But it's like kind of just get through it and not act like a geek and just chill, and then it goes away. But it's
in the end, they're all people like us, and
it's just it becomes, after a while, everybody's like, oh my God, you got to meet so and so, and I'm like, well, all I did was constantly yell at him to, hey, look at the camera, look here. Don Dawkins was very famous for, I think I screamed at him the whole meet and greet a couple years ago because he was too busy talking to other people, and I'm like, hey, picture over here, look, Don, hey, scream. I'm constantly yelling at Don Dawkins, and I'm surprised he didn't yell back at me, but no, he was cool. He didn't yell back at me or anything, but that's kind of the thing. You just kind of have to jump up, take charge, no matter who it is that's in front of your camera. You have to direct it in order to get everything that makes everybody look good.
I go out and I cover shows and I do a bunch of stuff. I myself don't call myself a professional photographer. I not at all. Like, I don't have a DSLR. I don't have any of those, the high price cameras. All I have is my iPhone 12. And there are some professional photographers that, that go out to these shows and they attempt to shoot photos. The thing for me is that when they go out and they shoot these photos, it takes them 2 weeks to get the photos out. 3 weeks. And I always ask them, I take photos with my little iPhone 12, whatever, and sometimes they turn out better than some of those photographers that take 2 weeks to get them out. And
I've
I'm
seen
just
those.
like, how could you not care about that? Like, how does it not bug you?
Yeah, if it's taken somebody 2 weeks to get photos out, then there's no excuse as to why they look bad or poor quality or they're half-assed.
What is an appropriate
my car.
time? What is an appropriate flip time?
I guess it just depends. For some things, when I was the photographer for Country Jam, for WCOL's Country Jam for a couple years, there was like an instant turnaround. As soon as I came out of the pit, I handed the card to their internet person who was on site there at Legend Valley, and photos were instantly uploaded within 5-10 minutes of me shooting them. No editing, had to get everything right in the camera and pray that everything looked good when it was uploaded to the internet. And then there's sometimes where if I have to add logos to the pictures and things like that, like a radio station logo or a band logo, sometimes it takes a little bit of time. But I always tell people, usually within 1 to 2 weeks, I'll start getting edits to them. It just depends on if it's, I'm shooting personally or if I'm shooting for a publication that has a deadline.
Right.
It depends on how quickly I get things back to them. And it also depends on how much I have backlogged. Like right now, I'm like three projects backlogged, and I'm starting the Pigtown Palooza will be this week, and I'm like, okay, I have to hurry up and get all that done before I can even go to the Palooza and do anything. I have to just get all that done first and get it out of the way.
Wow. So looking at, 2021 and stuff like that, what would you say, other than the pandemic, because that's an easy one, what would you say is something that a lot of us need to focus on moving forward. I bet
I
that
think
was a Honda.
Yeah, I got a road outside and my sound tiles aren't working too well, I guess.
I think that what we should, and as far as the music industry goes, what we should be focusing on is just getting back out there. And everybody, it's like before the pandemic, you had trouble getting people out to shows. People weren't like really out supporting a whole lot. And then all of a sudden we have a whole year and a half of no music. And I'm like, and everybody's like, oh my God, we really miss it. It's like now that it's coming back, make sure you get out and really support it. I mean, really support it. Go to shows, throw money at the bands, buy their merch, buy their CDs, buy their downloads. You have to really support these people in the music industry because they lost so much in this past year or so. So now they have to make up for it. And now it's really up to us to help them out and get things going again.
What's what would be to you? What would be an ideal timeline to put the show together, including promotion and all that stuff?
When I do a show, something like a national act, I like to have at least a minimum of 3 months for to start promoting. It's like we might have been working on things uh, 6 months before the show, but at the 3 month mark is when I really start pushing the promotions and making the announcements and things like that. So usually a minimum of 3 weeks, or I mean 3 months is what I like to have.
Wow, that's actually a very safe number in comparison to the way I see some other shows get slammed together.
Yeah, I kind of I'm not a big gambler, so I like to make sure that I have plenty of time to get things done and make
Right.
sure things are make sure everything's under control, everything is legally taken care of, and we have everything set in stone before we even announce the show. But usually
Right.
once the show's announced, it's like I like to have 3 months for good promotions. Even though I
And
think nowadays this year, I think someone could probably put a show together and in 3 weeks have a an incredible turnout because people are just so hungry for shows right now. I think that it would be, a couple weeks you could probably have a great show with a fantastic turnout.
When you guys put the shows together and you guys sit down and talk about the promotions and stuff, do you when we talked briefly a little bit about contracts, in those contracts, is there anything about promotions, or like do you hold the bands responsible for promoting and being a part of it too? And
If Go
sorry,
ahead.
go ahead. It was gonna be a two-part question.
Oh,
And then the second part to that question is, in do you, if they don't do a certain amount of promoting and they don't carry their weight, so to speak, is that something a turn off to you guys of bringing them back again?
it kind of depends because a lot of times on my national shows, um, I don't like to leave it to the locals to promote the show because bringing in a national act, that alone should help, should be a big part of the promotion, and that in itself should be enough to bring in crowds. I don't depend on. I do ask any locals that I have on as openers to ask them to try to sell tickets and promote the show. And I like to see some promotion out of them, but I don't depend on it. I don't require anything major out of them because I should be able to sell tickets based on the fact that such and such band is coming in, and that should be enough. If I see bands not making any effort at all, yeah, that's kind of a turn off. Makes me think, okay, do I want to hire them again to do another show, at another time? But it's usually I don't push the openers to do a whole lot because it's up to
Do you
the
guys
national act.
do you guys have like audience expectations when you guys put on shows?
Yeah, usually when I book a show, I will. Um, when I'm asked, well, when I'm asked, when I'm presented a band and asked, do I want to take this show, I kind of look and kind of think about what kind of crowd this is going to, you know, pull in, because of course, if it's not something I feel that's going to um, sell a lot of tickets versus what they're asking in their guarantee, I will pass on them. I pass on more than I take, because if I don't have something that's um, going to be a good ticket seller, I kind of just don't even bother.
Yeah.
It's just, yeah, it's kind of a financial thing. And it's one of those things that, if, passing on more than what I take, just due
Yeah.
on the fact is whether or not I think they're going to pull a crowd or not, based on, I try to keep, one thing I think about is with ticket sales, most of the things that I've booked in the past have all been like 80s hair metal, um, and 80s metal type stuff. And people don't want to pay more than $30 per show for a lot of these. Even if it's a really big act, you start pushing ticket sales higher than $30 a ticket, and it kind of not, they kind of frown upon it, and it kind of hem and haw. So I try to make sure that I need to keep ticket sales under $30 a ticket, and then I kind of do a rough calculation as how many of those tickets I have to sell in order to clear my expenses, basically.
Right.
And if I don't have something that's going to sell, a lot of tickets at, $25, $30, then I usually pass on them.
You guys get any pushback from the venues about how you guys conduct yourselves? Because I know you guys, I have seen how you guys conduct yourselves, and you guys are some of the most professional people that I've ever met, honestly, in the music scene. And I can only imagine that there might be some venues that kind of like snick their nose up, so to speak.
I
say
haven't
it
had any. Yeah, in the past, I have not had any issues. All the venues that I've worked with have been great, and they were, easy to work with. I had several shows at the Alarosa that were very easy to do. Muddy Creek, I did some shows there. They were,
I miss Muddy.
yeah, that's one of the places I really miss is Muddy Creek. Sam, you need to get something going here again with another venue. But yeah, Sam was super easy to work with. The venues, everybody always was more than happy to help do what we need to do to get the shows going. So yeah, I've never had issues with venues that I've worked with in the past.
I want to touch base on a couple comments here real quick.
Yeah.
This one, it says, it's hard to sell tickets when in a fresh band. Do you have any tips for him with that one?
Yeah, I do agree that it's if you're in a new band and you don't have a big following yet, it is going to be very difficult to sell tickets because people don't know who you are. I think that the big thing is you have to get out and get a following going before you try to do anything like that. I know what a lot of bands do is if they're required to sell tickets or something, sometimes they just will buy the tickets all themselves and just give the tickets away just to get people to come in the door, and they kind of absorb that expense themselves, which that's fine if that's what they want to do. That's their business to do it, but that's one way that some of them I know are using that to get a fan base going, to get people to basically pay attention and look at their music and give them a listen. But the only thing you can really do is just get out and pour yourself out everywhere. It's basically the whole thing.
There you go. Whore yourself out. And that's the truth.
Yeah, it's like that's what you got to do, and get that following and get people just listening to your music. And a lot of times, and I know a lot of people depend on Facebook and social media, but sometimes you got to get off of that and actually get out and do some footwork.
Networking as well.
Yes, and getting out there, just get off the damn computer, get out of the basement, and get yourself known, get yourself in front of faces, get shows booked, and just get out there and be seen.
Yeah, a lot of bands that I see these days, and it still amazes me. It blows my mind the amount of bands I see do this. But I know that bands change. I know things change all the time. But the first thing, being in the media like I am, the first thing I look at is your media, like where you're at social media wise. Like, are all the band names in the about section? Have you been active? Like, more like, if your last post on your band page was last
Like,
month,
or like
like,
3 years ago.
right, yeah, I'm probably not going to give you the time of day. I try to make sure that the history is clearly outlined of the band, you know,
Mm-hmm.
and if the band plays the venue more than once, that means they were able to have a successful show. I feel like, to me, I mean, it's pretty simple, you know. Um, but do you guys think that there's a situation where you should have an EPK ready still in 2021?
I still think so because there's a few local bands that I help do the bookings for, and even a lot of just local venues, local bars. They've asked me for an EPK. So yeah, I think that is something that you should still be having because people want. I know that when bands come across bar owners' desks and stuff, they want something that they could see very quickly. They want to hear some of your music, want to see a few pictures. They especially want to see pictures of you in other venues with crowds. Show some crowd pictures because that will, if you're a band that can, bring a crowd in, that makes you more interesting too. Especially bar owners and small venue owners, they want to know, can you bring a crowd in? So you got, take the pictures, do your EPK. They want something quick and simple to look at.
Yeah, you want to put the work into, so those venue owners have a quick reference that they don't want to go hunting down everything.
Exactly. That's the whole thing, is they don't want to go hunting down for everything. They want something really quick, easy to look at here, and then move on to the next one, or call you.
I think the big picture is that bands need to have a holistic approach to growing their fan base and growing in the community, and Nancy, she says, I'd rather hear a band live. When you think about that, yeah, sometimes, yes, but as a promoter, as something, you need to hear them before you put them up there. I feel like it's necessary, because if you bring in a band and you're like, oh yeah, well, they got 1,000 followers, and you just put them on the show, and then they plug in, and you can normally tell. I feel maybe you might be able to back me up on this, but you can tell when they walk in and they plug their gear in and they start. You can tell if they've done it before or not.
Yeah, you could kind of tell who's been around the block, and you could tell someone that's coming in. It's like it's not their first rodeo.
Mike
And then
Bates.
you could tell some of the new ones who've never done it before, and you kind of have to, give them that chance because maybe this was, their first chance of getting out there and
Yeah.
really being seen. So kind of, cut them some slack a little bit.
Yeah.
So photography is one thing that I absolutely love. I will never claim to be one, but I will show love when it's deserved, and it is absolutely deserved. You have been shooting some awesome shows for a long time. I've seen you at work. I've seen you at other shows. I've seen Jeff too. But I try not to approach you guys when you're working, just because I'm not going to walk up, hey, how's it going, guys? I know you're busy. I know you're
No,
busy.
feel free to do that, though.
Yeah.
Feel free to do that.
But so we have a few photos here. And
Story time.
I kind of want, yeah, definitely story time. I kind of really wanted to ask you, your sight through your lens seems to be very bright and very positive. And I very rarely see any black and white photos from you.
Yeah. Oh, usually, this is a kind of a joke with everybody. If you see somebody that's done a whole set that's in nothing but black and white, it means that the lighting was bad.
Or
Yeah.
super red lighting is horrible.
Yeah, exactly. The whole curse of the red lights. And a lot of times you have some artists that have, or some just the venues have some just, simple lightings. And a lot of times it's all black, all red light or all blue light. And then, like you take a bunch of pictures and you have everything just totally washed out in red, and you're like, oh, what's this going to look like in black and white? A lot of times they look really good in black and white. So, but usually if you see somebody do a whole set in black and white, it's because the lighting was bad, and it's like black and white's the only way to really save a picture.
Right.
But I'll do that on occasions, but usually I try to just say what I see is what you get. What I see is what you get.
I'm going to go ahead and put up some of your photos, and feel free to comment or if there's a story behind it, whatever you want to talk about. Let's go ahead. I'm going to do, yours first. I'm going to promote you. So everybody go check out Tong Productions. This is on the website, so make sure you go there. It's good.
That's when Anthony asked me about my 4 favorite photographs. I'm like, I probably think that those are my 4 favorites of all time that I've shot. Of course, the first one is my husband Jeff. That was done at a when he was in a band called the Mighty Swine. That was shot down at Bogart's in Cincinnati.
Wow.
They opened up.
I didn't know Jeff. I didn't know Jeff was in that band.
Yes, that first one is Jeff.
Yeah.
Taken at Bogart's.
His hair game is on point, for the record. If he's listening, man to man, like, your hair is on point, sir. Definitely awesome.
Really, I got my dog trying to get in here. The second one is Oz Fox from Striper.
Oh, wow.
That was taken at M3 in Maryland, probably about 2015. There's Jeff. I think that was taken 2015. I had a photo pass for M3 for Rock and Roll Industries magazine, which is a magazine that I always shoot for now. They're a worldwide publication. That third one is Rudy Schenker from the Scorpions. That was done here at the Express Live when Scorpions and Queensryche were here. And Rudy really worked it for the camera. He'd seen us photographers in the pit, and he made sure we were going to get some good shots. And that last one, of course, is Father Zach from Black Label Society at Zach Wild. That was taken at the Express Live also. It was just one of those really cool pictures. I'm looking through, and I'm like, oh, this is the shit right here.
I love when they do pose too. Zach's got an awesome pose for sure. And
yeah. It's like they take the time to really go through and make sure we get some good shots on some of the photographers. For some of the bands do that. That one, that's Jeff there. That was just taken a couple weeks ago at Turtle Creek.
You captured the young side. You captured the young side.
Yeah, it's just that was from the Rat Bastard show a couple weeks ago at Turtle Creek.
He looks like he's in his 20s, No visible facial hair, just jamming out. If I didn't know, I would say he's 21.
He always says that. And what's funny is when Jeff and I first started dating back in 2004, everybody thought, and here's my dog in the picture. She's like, I got to get some time. But it was funny because when we started dating, I took him to a work picnic, and I come back to work on Monday, and they're like, Missy, oh my God, you cradle robber. What are you, Mrs. Robinson or something? And I'm like, what are you talking about? And they're like, oh, that your boyfriend, he's isn't he like barely legal? I'm like, he's a year older than me. So I'm like, I said, no, I'm not robbing the cradle. He's a year older than me. And they could not believe it. They were like, oh my God, he's so young. But yeah, he still has that, boyish good looks. He's young forever.
That's awesome.
Look at
that
this
one.
Stance.
That is Joel. I don't know if I'm going to say his last name right. Joel Helskra. He's
Helskra.
Helskra, yeah.
Helskra.
That was when he was with Night Ranger, and that was also taken at M3 that year. Same. That is Matt Keene. Matt Keene is a blues musician out of Chicago, and he was in a band called Rebel Soul Revival, and they would come down to Columbus and play here and there. And I think that was taken at one of the places in downtown that's no longer there anymore. I can't remember the name of the venue, but it was really great.
He
Really
was
cool bend
definitely an
again.
acrobat too.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It's like that back bend was incredible for him. But
Yeah.
he's now a
Mike,
solo artist. Just Matt Keen. You could find him on all Spotify and stuff. Oh, this picture. This is Steve Theotto. Everybody probably knows Steve from either American Dog, Rat Bastard, several other Cattail Brew.
shout
Another
out to my
one.
boys in Rat Bastard, by the way.
Yeah,
I
Mhm.
love them fuckers.
they're great. It's like this. This was taken at the last Rat Bastard show at Turtle Creek, and it's just the way he was standing there, and he had the Marshall amp, the Marshall cabinet behind him, and the lighting was perfect, and it was like a perfect, serene moment that really shows Steve. This one's Nuno Betancourt from Extreme. One of my I loved taking pictures of him. He was just great. That was also from M3, back in I think 2015. But yeah, I just like Nuno because Nuno's hot, hot guitar player. And that is Jakey Lee. That was probably one of the first shows. That was M3 also, and that was one of the first shows for Red Dragon Cartel.
Huh.
And that was just all my pictures of Jake from that show was just so great because you could see how happy he was to be back out on stage. I mean, he was just having the time of his life, and he looked so happy to be back out there. And it was just great being able to capture those moments for him.
And I need everybody to know that I'm putting these pictures up through a streaming platform, so they're not as good as what she would be able to do and put them up for you. So I want you to know that if you think the quality is not like on point, that's my fault. I take the blame, but she's amazing and does amazing work. So
Facebook does not help any with making pictures look good. They always look compressed and kind of sometimes I've seen things like misshapen come out on Facebook, and I'm like, oh my god, that picture did not look like that when I uploaded it.
so your last one was an outdoor. Can you tell us a little bit difference on some of the things that make it difficult while shooting outdoors versus indoors? Besides the lighting, we've touched base on that one.
Yeah, sometimes basically it's lighting. Shooting outdoors, like daytime is if like you have a nice, you don't want I don't like full sunshine, because sometimes it has too much brightness. But if you have a nice, decent, cloudy day, that really makes it good, especially for outdoor shows. Shows like M3, they had two stages, and one stage had all the really cool stage lights, and then they had the other, which was under the amphitheater, and then they had another stage that was just built outdoor on the other side of the hill, and it was just a completely outdoor stage, no cover or anything like that. So you didn't get any cool lights. You just had your ambient daylight, lighting. It's like whatever Mother Nature provided you, that's what you got.
So I have a fan question. I know we're running short on time, but I have a fan question
Sure.
that I received earlier today. So exactly what is it you want to say with your photographs, and how do you actually get your photographs to do that?
That's kind of different. I mean, what I like to see when I'm shooting something, I want people to look at the picture and actually feel like that they were there too. I try to capture the emotion and the passion of the artist. I mean, that's the most important thing, is if you have somebody that's really passionate about their music, and I like to be able to convey that through my images, that there's truly some really feeling and passion and emotion
Yeah.
in all the pictures. And I want people to really look at my pictures and say, wow, that's, I could feel what that musician is trying to convey, what they're trying to put through with their music. Even though you can't hear the music, maybe if you know the band, you might hear their music playing in your mind, or or you could just feel the emotion that comes from the images. It's like if you always come across a band that doesn't really kind of have the shoegazers on stage, I still try to look for something that captures what they're trying to put through, even though they might not be that experienced on stage and are not sure themselves to get out there and put it out there. They're just kind of nervous. I still try to get some kind of, emotion and passion is, that's the only thing I can really describe it, what I'm looking for and what I try to put out through the pictures.
I have one more guest question before we wrap this up and
Sure.
let Roxy run this. So, one of the fan questions was, which photographers influenced you, and how did they influence your thinking on photography and your career path?
Oh, well, of course, everybody knows Neil Zolzauer. I think I'm saying his name right. He's the most famous rock and roll photographer out there from, 70s, 80s. There's also Mark Weiss. He does an incredible job. He's been out there, he was out there in the 70s photographing Kiss, sneaking a camera in. I mean, I remember the first time I shot a show sneaking a camera in to see Wasp at the Alarosa, in the probably mid 90s. I can't remember what tour it was, but I remember so worried that I was going to get caught this camera in the Alarosa taking pictures of Blackie Lawless. I thought, oh my God, they're going to snatch me up and beat me senseless or something, or I'm gonna be the girl on stage they're throwing meat at. For doing it. But the photographers that they have been a big influence. The person that probably had the most influence on me and really encouraged me to get out there was a photographer in Las Vegas, Valerie Nerez. She was a Zuma photographer who she was shooting all the big Vegas shows, all the a lot of the 80s bands kind of moved to Vegas at that time because Vegas was the new Sunset Strip. So she was shooting all these bands and getting publication. And she, I would just, ask her questions and talk to her online. And she, told me what to do and how to do it and how to get out there. Because at that time, it was still women were kind of just looked at as groupies with cameras. And, here's someone who has gained the respect of everybody in the industry, and the respect of the musicians, and didn't treat her like she was just somebody using the camera to get backstage. But I think those three are probably my biggest influences.
I want to get to one of the fan questions in the chat there. Any advice that you would have for light guys working lights, that they have photographers taking pics that will help for better shots, over or under doing lighting, colors, etc.?
Probably sometimes if I know the sound and light guy, I'll ask him to give me some white light. Sometimes they have lights that go in a pattern. And you can watch the color patterns and see. I told him, I was like, try to give me a little more time with the white lights, or just give me whatever you can, or slow them down so that when the lights cycle through the different colors, then I'll have enough white light to capture some stuff, because that's probably the best lights I've seen. Other colors do make for interesting pictures, more artistic pictures, but sometimes, just white light, just give me the white light, and then, let me get a few shots.
Nancy asked, does she do moving photos while she's on the move or just stationary? I'd say on the move. I've seen you move pretty fast to get some shots.
It's like, we're in the pit. You're running back and forth, looking, you're just, trying to run, you're running back and forth, you have to follow the artist. Sometimes you get the artist will run in front of you and work, pose for you for a few seconds, but a lot of times you're chasing people across the stage back and forth. And so we're, usually on the run. Except for sometimes the pits are small and you're kind of stuck in a spot. So you have to hope that, everybody at least passes in front of you at some point or another. Or like last Saturday, I went down to Cincinnati to photograph the Dead Daisies. And
great band, killer band.
Yes, killer band. They were incredible. And it's like the pit was small, but so I made sure I stationed myself in front of Doug Aldridge.
Yeah.
So yeah, and when those pictures come out, there's going to be a lot of Doug in those pictures. But you try to, if you have enough room and you're not tripping over a bunch of people, you're running back and forth, getting pictures on the run. Sometimes we've been packed in the pit so tight that one person has to like duck down and you crawl over that person to switch places, and you're kind of coordinating with everybody else, trying to move around and not getting somebody shot or not, hit somebody in the head. And then, you got this big, massive pile up in the pit. But yeah,
Yeah.
It's mostly on the move. You're always constantly moving around, chasing the artist on the stage.
Right on. Well, I know we are just about out of time. The boss has given me the eye. So, before we go out, I wanted to ask you, is there any advice that you could give to anybody that happens to want to step into the music industry, whether it be photographer or promoter?
I say don't get discouraged. Just keep going at it. Maintain professionalism, because if you start acting like fanboy, fangirling, or acting creepy like a stalker, that will get you blacklisted and booted quicker than shit. So always maintain, no matter who it is you're working with, always maintain a professional attitude, professional work ethic, and just get out there and start taking pictures, start writing articles, doing whatever you can to get your work noticed, and and submit your work to everybody that you can possibly get it submitted to. If you're shooting for 4 or 5 different publications, it's the way to do it, to get your stuff out there. But
Definitely great advice.
Yeah, just my main thing is just maintain a professional work ethic.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Missy, for joining us this week and tonight's show. I really appreciate it. And shout out to Jeff and the Rat Bastard Syndicate and everybody over there. Make sure you guys check out Tong Productions LLC on Facebook, and you guys can find the awesome website as well for tongproductions.com. And if you're interested in finding some photos from the awesome Missy, make sure you find her website for her photography. That has been streaming across the bottom of the show for like all night. So make sure you guys find that. And, it is one thing. Honda again.
Yeah, my bad.
They're drag racing in front of your house, it sure sounds like.
I was worried you're going to get a bunch of barking dogs here.
Yeah, some photos. There's a good photo op for you. So thank you for coming and hanging out with us tonight. We really appreciate you. And like I said, give everybody shout outs and love for us. And I want to catch up with you and Jeff at some point, also definitely outside of this, to talk about some stuff.
Definitely. I mean, catch us out at any local shows. I'll probably be there.
Mike dates. My Honda's so sick. All right, guys. I'm Antman. That is a lovely Roxy right there. And that is the awesome and talented Missy Tong right there. Thank you so much, Missy, for coming and hanging out.
Oh, thank you for inviting me. This was a blast. I love doing this.
Thank you, Missy.
Oh, thank you, Roxy.
All right.
All right. So to wrap up.
What a night, man. This was awesome. This is why I love my job.
Right.
I love my job right here. So the giveaway, we're going to sit down and we're going to hash that out, and we'll be giving that away next Monday. So make sure that you guys continue to follow, like, share, subscribe to Music Familiar Productions. And if you're unfamiliar, we have the Facebook group. You can join that. But we're trying to get everybody over to the YouTube side, because they can actually participate more and be more active. And like Mr. Mike Bates' music right there, your name will show up in there, like Dale Robinson and a handful of others. You can switch over that way, and it's either that or, like Roxy said, you got to give you got to give StreamYard permission to your Facebook account so your name shows up, correct?
Yep, you actually have to go in and do it, and it's a lot of work for you, so it's just easier if we tell you to go on over to the YouTube Music Familiar Productions.
Yep. And all the replay shows are available on our streaming platforms, so you guys can check those out. And these videos never come down, so you can rewatch them here on YouTube or wherever you are. So, Roxy, thank you for letting us go over. I appreciate it. It seems like it's becoming a thing because there's so many questions and topics to hit. It flies by, literally.
Yeah, it does. And so to wrap it up, I just want to reiterate again, all your comments, you guys are going to make my job really hard. I'm going to throw everybody's name, and every comment counts for one entry. Going to throw it in a bowl, and next week's show, I'm going to shuffle that bowl up, and I'm going to pull out a name right there live, and that's going to be the winner. And I want everybody to know who is coming on next week. This is big, so pay attention. Get your ears open. It is Discrepancies. And if you've not heard them, you need to go check them out. Antman has played them on his show before.
I'll be playing them again on Thursday. Make sure you buckle up for that.
Yes, it's going to be an exciting show. So we got the giveaway announcement. We got Discrepancies. We got Antman. We got Roxy. It's going to be a badass show next week. So tune in. Set your reminders.
Hey, follow us on TikTok if you haven't already. I did a fancy little TikTok, wouldn't let my hair down on TikTok. And yeah. So anyway, have a great rest of your week. Stay hydrated because it's going to be hot as balls in Ohio this week. And yeah, man, I love you guys. Thank you.
All right, we're out.
If you feel me, put your hands up.